Here we go.
You really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Hey, motherfucker. What do you like to do?
Oh, I don't know. Play chess. Screw.
Well, let's play chess.
They give off to Jonathan Taylor. Jump cutting his way close to the goal line. He's in there. Touchdown. I-N-D-Y. Jonathan Taylor.
Wheeler finds Quan from the logo.
Here's Halliburton into the front court. Mishandled it, but gets a shot. Hits it. Hits it.
John, I have never been better to be on the air with you here in Indianapolis, a place where so many of my dreams have come true.
The Ride with JMV on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hey, welcome in. I love the Special Tuesday because they're fun anyway, but made even more fun when we're at a legendary location and I can have beers at this legendary location. Behringer's Tavern, South Meridian. As I mentioned, if you're on the outbound of downtown, heading to the south side, honk us up when you pass if you're listening. And if you're going northbound on Meridian, maybe going downtown for whatever reason, give us a honk to make sure that's one of the more fun things, enjoyable things that we do, is to make sure you remain interactive inside your vehicle as well with the honking of the horn. You just let us know. So I told Jake kind of jokingly, right? Kind of jokingly, that it's our version. Remember the old school honk if you're horny kind of thing? That's what about sports talk is what I'm referencing right here. If you remember that back in the day. But Behringer's Tavern, awesome Tuesday. Thank you very much for joining us. And it's awesome because we're having beers. It's awesome because we get Rick Venturi, who's going to join us in the 4 o'clock hour. We normally do benchmarks or signature moments during the course of a season where Rick comes on, either to break down what the Colts are doing in the offseason or in the draft or to start the season after camp. Or in this case, as we're 6 weeks in, and what he has seen and what he is necessary, because it's different. He views it from a much more educated, like a galactically more educated eyeball than I do. So I sat here yesterday screaming and yelling and said, yeah, you know what, you got to go out. You got to get some edge rusher and a cornerback, and you got to do this and you got to do that. He will tell us what he believes needs to be done. Now, he will agree with me that you've got to establish at least a smidge of a consistent pass rush if you're the Colts. Something has to give here. I mean, you got to do something up front, or you're going to have to get healthy on the back end of this thing as well and be able to stop some. But I guess the truth to it, you come off of a week 6 or 6 weeks of the season, and you're 5-1, and you're feeling really good about who you are and what you're doing right now. But you are coming off a game where Jacoby Brissett absolutely ate you alive through the air. And whether he was dinking and dunking and going underneath, and that's what he does, you didn't stop him. And it's going to get tougher. That's something else you have to recognize. The schedule is going to stiffen as we go further and further in. I mean, obviously, you're going to have to go on the road to that dump. No, hey, what's up? Arrowhead Stadium. Thank you for the honk. Arrowhead Stadium at some point. Yeah, I know that is pretty funny, isn't it? I like when this is one of my favorite things to do if you've ever been with me is hearing people honk at us when you drive by Behringer's on the south side. But no, the schedule's going to get tougher. Like you watched the Falcons last night, and they're kind of that in-between. They can look gloriously good, obviously on the ground, but they can also look really bad. So, hell, you don't know what you're going to get when you travel halfway around the world to Frankfurt, or I should say to Berlin, Germany, coming up in November with that particular matchup. And then you're going to, outside of Tennessee at some point, go ahead and fire up the rest of the division. Twice against Houston, twice against Jacksonville. So you want to be at an optimum level, and here's why. You have to take advantage. People are asking right now, do you buy the Colts? At 5-1, you have to buy the Colts because they're off to a tremendous start. Yes, buy them. And then buy them in terms of growth. Why not? To me, if you look around, they look every bit as good as really anybody else out there, don't they? In a lot of ways. And I think it's also interesting because it's not one of these things where it's across the board, you have issues. I think right now it's pretty easy to diagnose the major issues in this case. If you're talking, and a lot of people would suggest linebackers. That's the other thing Rick's going to talk about coming up in the 4 o'clock hour, the linebacking situation. And, maybe the safety play wasn't that great, but all this to me is predicated by the fact that you put little to no pressure, significant pressure. I mean, half-ass pressure and significant pressure is different. Yeah, you can still get there with a guy that may hold on to it a little bit longer, but you didn't really force him into doing things that was out of the ordinary for Jacoby Brissett. That's what a pass rush does. You force the quarterback into making bad decisions. They didn't force anybody into anything. What's up? Nothing whatsoever. So that's what you look at. And again, from what you have heard, as we talked about yesterday, if you look around the NFL landscape, for whatever reason, there are more available and accomplished edge rushers out there. Again, from what you hear or what you read, than there are corners in this case. Normally, that's not the situation either. Normally, people will tell you there is zero way if you have what I described as an accomplished edge rusher that person is going to be on the market. But we have talked about, Bradley Chubb. We have talked about Jalen Phillips. We have talked about Thibodeau from the Giants was another one. Remember how he laid out couple of years back, Nick Foles, when he was and did Snow Angels afterwards, too, in celebration. I mean, you look at that. Those are guys that, according to those that follow the NFL, are available. And I just said yesterday, simply put, this is the type of season where you take advantage of it. If you're still playing for the long haul, then great. But fans have been, and advertisers have been jacking around with this product for the better part of 8 years right now, with not a lot of return on investment. And here's your opportunity at a 5-1 start. Such a rarity to get off to this type of great start. I mean, this is like Manning era stuff start-wise here. I'm not suggesting that the quarterback or the team's anywhere near the category of the Manning era, but start-wise, this is like a Manning era start. So, yeah, you take that and you run with it. You help out your team. And I will also suggest, even though in the past this has not been a situation that they've done or procedurally speaking a path that they've taken, but they did different stuff in the offseason. It's worked. They've done different stuff to start the season. It's worked. You have an MVP caliber running back. You have had an MVP caliber / comeback player of the year or whatever you'd want to describe at quarterback. You have a quarterback that you can trust, that can make plays. And this is not just a stroke of luck. You just didn't, you know what, you get here and you're lucky. Nah, there is something that you can actually see. This offense is good. You have the rookie of the year playing tight end. This is all that you can see. This is incredibly important, so you take every single advantage of it where you are right now. You can worry about next year and the year after next, because here's part of the issue. You worry about next year, and you end up finishing first, and you don't do what is necessary to complement what truly is a glaring weakness here. And then all of a sudden, you're going to get stuck with a first-place schedule next year, and who knows, a 5-1 start. Hopefully you're building for the future, but I'll be damned if I'm worried about the future. I want to live in the now for once. I want to think about next week. I want to think about next month. I want to think about December. I want to think about having pregame shows outside of the final regular season throw-in in January. That's what I want to think about. And that's why you can hear me screaming and yelling and actually thinking that all this is incredibly easy, which it is not. Or you can bring somebody on board that actually called Daniel Jones before anybody brought up Daniel Jones, said, hey, this is going to be the starter, this is going to work, and it has worked so far, and break down all other aspects of this team through a 5-1 start. Rick Venturi is going to join us coming up in the 4 o'clock hour, and we'll let Rick go for however long Rick wants to go because, I've got beers and Barringer's Tavern and great friends and people honking their horns, and hell, we're all good here. 5-1, 4-2, and then 2-3. You still have to take care of business against those, especially like Jacksonville. But honestly, when you gauge the Colts with the Jags and the Texans, for example, that's where I think you legitimize what the Colts have accomplished so far. Certainly you haven't seen it head-to-head yet. But legitimize it. And to do that, you have to address those glaring needs, or at least a glaring need on that defense. You've got to have something. You can't just not get there. And again, there is a difference between what is decision-changing pressure and then, oh, by the way, at some point, somebody's ass has to get in the backfield. There's a difference there, right? Yeah, at some point, somebody is going to get to him, right, because he holds the ball. He's looking underneath. If he's not making the quick decisions, all right, quick decisions, you can adjust on the secondary. And again, maybe that's the secondary problem. Or as Rick has put it, maybe that's a linebacker problem. What's up, Travis? We'll address that with Rick Venturi coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. Greg Rakestraw is going to join us. The sectional pairing show was on Sunday. We shall go over that. High school football, collegiate football. I hope you did not miss Matt Surface on the show yesterday because as I mentioned to Jake in our crossover brought to you by Love Heating and Air, love-hvac.com, the former players and those that have spent decades going to games when you knew the outcome on Friday night before you got your ass up early and rolled down to Bloomington to watch IU play football. Those are the ones that I think are they're getting repaid and then some right now and have earned it and deserve it. Matt Surface, as a former linebacker in that program, he's earned it and he deserves to be able to talk up his team. He also talked about the Penn State coaching situational search moving forward too. Just really good stuff from Matt yesterday. We shall do that again, but if you missed it, that podcast is at 1075thefan.com. Matt Surface was awesome on the show yesterday, but we'll get back into the college football. The Boilermakers disappointed in themselves, certainly in Minnesota on Saturday, but Purdue's basketball program ranked number 1 to start the season, so maybe a little college basketball chatter if we have time to work that in with Greg coming up here at the bottom of this hour. And Eddie Gill, the former NBA guard from Pacers TV and Pacers Radio, I am not at all going to red flag it because you know my belief in this group. I am not at all going to sound the alarm bells in the preseason. But what I mentioned to Jake and what I sent out on X a little bit earlier, it was just weird watching last night, and there should not be much evidence of what you witnessed in June compared to what we're watching in middle October. I understand. So you don't have to send me stuff. I am not trying to rabble-rouse. I'm not trying to panic nor concern. But it was weird as hell watching last night and watching the ball stick in somebody's hands the stinking entire possession. And you don't have Halliburton and you don't have McConnell. I get it. And it was weird having not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4, count them, 4 bigs. And I'm pissed at Miles Turner too. I am. I'm mad at Miles Turner too. And I have been his biggest defender for the past 7 or 8 years. I'm mad at him. And I'm not mad at him because he left. You can leave him, do whatever you want. You can hold the grudge and do whatever you want. I just didn't like what he had to say about his teammate. Like, I don't know. He went like the Victor Oladipo route of describing where he was, where he has been. And that didn't do him justice for his time, his 10 years here. I didn't like that. Whatever. That time will pass. And you can talk about how he sucked in the finals, and he did. But you got to remember that dude was a threat. You had to mark a check next to his name on the pregame sheet as he can shoot it. You have to recognize that he can. You have to pay attention to him. You guys notice in the preseason, I get it, but they don't pay attention to any of these bigs. You want to know why? Because these bigs can't shoot it a lick. Maybe all of a sudden they're going to discover it in the regular season. Hopefully so. Somebody better. And I'm happy that Isaiah Jackson is back from injury. I'm happy that we see James Wiseman coming back from injury. I'm very unhappy when James Wiseman squares up to shoot a jump shot because that hurts my eyeballs. I don't like that. And then you're going to wait on Huff. I don't know how long you're going to be waiting. But it was really, to me, at times tough to watch last night because you just got so used to things. And this is just part of the reacclimation with this group, certainly without its best player. And right now, without its best bench player, and one of the most significant threats on the team as well in T.J. McConnell. And I know that Furphy was out, and I know that you have injuries still. And Miles is in Milwaukee. But it was just weird to watch guys roam around the perimeter, and nobody really cares if these dudes are out there whatsoever. There's zero threat. Hopefully somebody can step up in that capacity because this team needs that. And this is something you're going to end up seeing because everybody argued about, well, Miles wasn't tough, and he was soft, and he played with Legos, and blah, 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 and he did this. The one thing Miles could do is he could shoot. He can shoot. And, they left him wide open in this preseason game a couple of nights ago in Milwaukee, and he knocked down 5 of them. He could shoot. Now, he could also go away if he read negative stuff about himself on X, for example. He could easily go away, but he could also shoot, and he was always going to be a threat. When you looked at the scouting report, it's always going to be you got to come out. It's going to be all bunched up in there if there's going to be high ball screen. I'm assuming that anybody that's going to be big, that's going to high ball screen is going to end up rim running because I don't know right now, why you'd even run out past the three-point line. And hopefully that evolves into something that actually works. But it was really weird to watch that last night. That and the lack of ball movement. And I thought Rick Carlisle, and I think it was Chris or Quinn, actually it was Chris Denari last night, and a shout-out to Chris, who was reading the lips of Rick Carlisle in what he was saying in the second half at one point to Jarris Walker, and he was telling him to go faster. And that's true. And you want this group to go faster. You wonder what the limit is of this group going fast. That is one of the reasons why I loved it so much. The high volume pace, the full court, just the constant pressure. You don't let the opposition breathe. This year, the opposition's going to have an opportunity to breathe a little bit, I would think. Again, preseason game, but those were a couple of the effects of that preseason game. By the way, another one that I'm very excited about, you are going to be able to turn loose, and I think everybody's going to be forced to turn loose Benedict Mathurin, and he was turned loose last night. My man knocked down absolutely everything. That was awesome. Now, save the zone for when it really matters, but that was pretty awesome watching Mathurin hit absolutely everything last night. So cheers to Benedict Mathurin. That is one thing, thank you very much, that I am very interested to see how that evolves this season. I think he's a dude. But can you be a consistent dude? Not just a dude in the preseason or a dude maybe once a week, but a consistent dude, that consistent threat. That could change significantly the dynamic of this team. There is so much that I think hinges on his level of play, his consistent level of play. It was awesome watching him knock down shots last night. That is for real. Hey, shout out to Moira. Moira came by and wanted to give me a shout out. Moira, shout out to you for stopping. Just couldn't stay, I guess, long enough until we started the show. But here's the thing. We have plenty of time for you to stop by. Behringer's on the south side. We're on South Meridian. We have plenty of time to have beers, have conversation, the great food, ice-cold beer for you as well. And as I mentioned, too, we're right here in the window on South Meridian. South Meridian and Pleasant Run Parkway. So when you're driving by, lay on the horn, let us know that you're here. You guys have done that so far. Well done. Continue that as you get off work, and we have this sports conversation for you. I mentioned Eddie Gill's going to join us coming up in the 5 o'clock hour. We've got however long he wants to go in his first 6-week assessment of this Colts team at 5-1. The former coach and for the radio network, Rick Venturi, joins us at 4 o'clock today for his analysis. But on the other side, Greg Rakestraw is going to be here as well. 239-1070 is that number. I will open up the text stream coming up in just a minute. 317-239-1070 if you want to drop me a line. I don't know. Give me some thoughts about last night, Pacer preseason game, the Monday Nighters. I do love this. I thought last night was an epic night of sport. Epic night of sport. Even if I picked the wrong game. See, every week, Nick and Digital has us all pick one game against the spread. And for the past 2 weeks, I picked the wrong one. For some reason, I decided to go with the Commanders versus the Bears, and then they had the monsoon that was falling upon them last night, and that was a bummer for me. But, man, Commanders did not look good. And you could attribute that to the weather or maybe the way the Bears played. Moody stepped up big on what was a whirlwind day, certainly for him, and knocked down that game winner. You had that, and the one thing that has been commonplace against the spread this season, and we talk about this with Brent Halverson every Thursday on our Larceny Bourbon Locks and Luna Azul Tequila Shots. This Thursday, Joe's Grill in Westfield for week number 7. But the one thing you have noticed, the Bills can't cover anything. They not only did not cover, but they lost last night. Going with the Bills not to cover has been a fruitful experience through the first 6 weeks of this season for me. And last night, there was yet another reason. Were you guys thinking about that watching the Bills play? Were you thinking about, maybe there should be a little bit more stock placed on the Colts with the way the Bills that are playing? Now, the Colts obviously get the Falcons in Berlin coming up in November. But yet another reason last night to look around the AFC and just kind of wonder, all right, this Colts team got some work to do, but still. Schedule gets tougher, but still. Major League Baseball last night. How about Seattle up 2-0 in that best of 7 ALCS with Toronto? Toronto had the bats going all season, and then against the Yankees in the divisional round, and it has absolutely stopped. Whether it's the Mariner pitching or the Mariners are just in that absolute groove right now. It's almost like that 15-inning game has really accomplished a lot in terms of momentum for Seattle, has it not? In the divisional round against Detroit. And I so much wanted the Dodgers to lose last night. What's that guy's name? Blake Tiernan or Tynan? You know what? He's a winner. He's on a good team. But every time I see him come out of the bullpen, I go, damn, man, somebody take this guy deep. I never really liked the dude. And I so wanted to see something happen. I wanted to see the dude lean into it last night. You got the bases loaded. You come in like that tight. I know it's easier said than done. Baseball players would tell me whether or not that you could simplify that and maybe just lean into something that was so tied in on you. I think it was a breaking ball as well. I think it was it Bryce Terang who struck out but had that opportunity with the bases loaded maybe to take that HBP and did not. All right, anyway, we'll get back to that coming up in a minute. You've got game number 2 later on tonight in the NLCS with the Dodgers up a game in that best of 7 with the Brewers. Behringer's Tavern, Southside, South Meridian. Honk when you drive by. We'd love to hear from you. Further, if you have time, stop in. We'll have some beers and some conversation, too. Rick Venturi, Eddie Gill, Greg Rakestraw is going to join us next. The stream, the app, HD Radio, the AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. Become a AAA member. Do that today. We're not going anywhere. Back with Greg coming up on the other side. It's 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
PE in high school. He was wearing sweatpants. It was really embarrassing, so this song goes out to him.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hey, welcome back to the legendary Behringers on the South Side. Rob, the owner's going to join us in a second. Hulk, if you're driving by South Meridian, but I mean, hell, stop in here and join us for an ice-cold beer of your choice and great food. Litzy wants me to give a shout-out, and I saw this too. Brent Holverson's daughter, the awesome Sierra, as they start sectional play coming up later on this evening. I think they get Pendleton Heights. But, yeah, Brent and I together at Joe's Grill. We're going to be in Westfield coming up on Thursday, Week 7. Our Larceny. Hey, what's up? Larceny Bourbon Locks, Luna Azul Tequila Shots. And Sierra's Mount Vernon squad starts sectional play coming up later on tonight. Litz, thank you very much. Rob from Behringer's in a second, but on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, he's Greg Rakestraw who joins us. Now, hey, Greg, thanks for last week, brother. I appreciate you.
Of course. I'm glad you got a couple of days to unwind a little bit.
It was a good time, no doubt about that. But simply put, not as good of a time as like Hoosier fans had going out to Eugene, Oregon and watching that effort on Saturday afternoon. Did you ever at all think that we would be in a situation like we're in right now with this Hoosier football program? Because I, for one, did not until we're watching it evolve right before our eyes now.
Nowhere close. No. Remember when we used to celebrate the 6th win of the season? It didn't happen very often, and it meant that you got to play in, some mid-level bowl game. Nobody's talking about the fact Indiana just won their 6th football game of the season, because you're talking about the Big Ten championship game. You're talking about playing so well from a ranking standpoint that you might play your way out of hosting a first-round playoff game because you go straight to the quarterfinals. Legitimately, you have a chance at a national championship, and legitimately, you have a chance of a Heisman Trophy winner. And we're talking about Indiana University football. I never thought this day would come, John, ever. Do
you think that they're more of a passing team or a running team? Because I think they're more of a running team.
I think they're more of a running team, and I think that's great. That translates to all weather. It is easier to dictate that. Again, Mendoza can sling it. Surratt and Cooper can go get it. I like Nowakowski as the tight end. But no, they are deep at the running back position, and they've got some road graders up front. And I think that's the best skill set you can have.
I do. And I love how you put things together. There seems like, and there is, because that's the way that it is, but you see the plan. You see the blueprint, and the blueprint is probably about as lengthy, I'm assuming, as War and Peace for Kurt Signetti. And the blueprint is the formula, the same formula he had to win as he did at James Madison, I'm assuming at any place else, but certainly has worked through a year and a half now in Bloomington.
A lot of folks talk it. Very few people can back it up in the fashion in which he has. And let's face it, you still have a lot of ground to cover this year. But for as wonderful as last year was, when you played against what truly the national championship contending level teams, there was a big gap from Indiana to Ohio State, from Indiana to Notre Dame. Oregon is that level of team, and you just went to their place and kicked their butt, like literally, not from the scoreboard standpoint, from a physicality standpoint. Indiana was the dominant physical team in that game against one of the true blue blood programs in college football. Indiana was the dominant team. And again, I still can't believe I'm saying that and you're not laughing me off the conversation.
So Greg Rakestraw is on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I'm going to double back to football on the high school level with you in a second, but yesterday we learned Purdue is the preseason number 1 ranked team in the nation, and for good reason. Where might we see this team compared to top-notch Boilermaker teams, including 2 years ago going to that national championship game? How do you like that team compared to those of Matt of the past?
You know, they have all been so good as of late. For as good as both Braden Smith and Trey Kaufman-Renn are, there is still something about Edey that was such a guaranteed bucket that maybe even I like that team from 2 years ago even a little bit more than this group. But, I mean, I think they, justifiably are the number 1 team in the nation. I think it's the proper ranking for them with all of the talent and experience that they bring back. from a season ago. But probably because Edey was so different than anybody else, I'd probably lean towards that Zach Edey senior team from 2 years ago by just a smidge.
Yeah, it makes sense. It really does. Greg Rakestraw's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. What stood out to you for the sectional pairings that took place this past Sunday, Greg?
For those of you that are fans of seeding the tournament, the draw on Sunday is the equivalent of a seeded tournament. There are not a lot of juicy matchups in round number one in any of the classes. The first kind of big, games that you would see off of the bat would be, I want to say Gibson Southern and Memorial would see each other in the semifinal round on Halloween. In terms of the 6A schools, really, there's hardly any, favorites versus favorites in the opening round, because Plainfield and New Pal will play each other in the opening round of 5A, but that's also a sectional that includes Cathedral. So in a 4-team group, you knew somebody really was going to play each other, on the opening night. But this is set up to where the best teams in most sectionals should play each other in the championship game. There'll be an occasional sectional where it's going to be in the semifinal round, but this is not a year where we got 1 versus 2 right out of the gate in terms of a first-round matchup.
Brownsburg, and I'm not talking about Central Indiana in 6A. And, obviously I'm leaving out a couple of 8-0s, Crown Point and Penn to the north and to the northwest here. But how close are the other teams that have had a loss or maybe a couple in 6A compared to that of the Bulldogs that are 8-0 and number 1 in 6A?
I don't think they're that far away. Now, I will see Brownsburg with my own eyes for the first time. We had them on ISC in week 4. That was the week that I went down the Redneck Autobahn and waved at the Odin Meat Locker for you and did that game at Hatchet Hollow. So I'll see Brownsburg when they host HSE on Friday night. They are absolutely deserving of the number 1 ranking, and they return so many key pieces on offense. Oscar Fry, Sharp, Sumter Bay, Lewis, etc. Offensively, they are every bit as good as they were a year ago. Defensively, now we're 8-9 weeks in, but they're probably not the defense this year that they were last year. That, and I think Carmel is really good. Of the teams I have seen, Carmel is the best team, but it doesn't mean that Brownsburg couldn't beat Carmel. Doesn't mean that Center Grove couldn't beat Brownsburg. I think on the given night, I think Lawrence North, who Center Grove beat by 3 last week at home, they could beat those squads. Carmel put it on Warren Central when I saw them last week. Warren's young and a bit beaten up. I think they'll be better by the time they get to Center Grove, likely in the regional round. So Brownsburg's the number 1 team. Carmel's really good. I'd put Center Grove just behind both of those, but especially in those top 3, toss it up on a Friday night. It could be any of that combination of 3 teams, I think, that are the 6A champs come Thanksgiving weekend.
Hey, no disrespect in 5A to the 8-0 Bloomington South Panthers, but New Pal at 8-0 and Cathedral at 5-3.
Right.
Is that ultimately within the top 5, also including Lafayette Jeff and East Central, that would be the most juicy of matchups to you?
Correct. And again, New Pal is going to have the toughest path just because the way the draw lines up, they will play almost a ranked team every round. If I have this right, New Pal's path is Plainfield, then Cathedral, then East Central, then Bloomington South, and then if the highest-ranked team would prevail, it'd be Lafayette Jeff. I think Maryville's pretty good out of that corner of the 5A bracket as well. So literally New Pal is number 1, and I think there's a scenario where their 5 games, if I have this right, might be against like teams ranked 2 through 6 in terms of the draw. And so it'll be a tough path for New Pal, but it's frankly one I expect them to compete. I think they are the best team in 5A. I think they're one of the best teams in the state. They've given up 25 points, John, in 8 weeks. Kyle Rouse's team is really stinking good.
Hey, Greg, in closing here, who's the best football team, any class included here, outside of Indianapolis, Marion County, and the Donut Counties?
If you get outside of Indianapolis, I mean, frankly, Crown Point or Penn, and I think Crown Point's better. I do think Crown Point is one of the best teams in the state. And by the time that, either they or Penn would see Carmel, that would, and who I think will come from the other quarter of the bracket in the northern half of 6A, that would be in the semi-state round. And I do think once you get that deep in the tournament, there is something to be said for where those games are played. You know, it is not easy for the Indianapolis schools to go to Evansville and win. It is not easy for the Indianapolis schools to go to the region and win. And the same thing holds true when those schools have to come this way. And so I do think a big part of, say, the 6A draw, I do think a big part of the 4A draw, where like Chittard will see Heritage Hills likely, you would think in the semi-state, is exactly where those games are going to be played. But to answer your question, who's the best team regardless of class outside of Indianapolis, I think Crown Point's the answer to your question.
Is Greg Rakestraw on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, and as they like to say, the blank is starting to get thick on Greg right here with a lot of stuff going on for him here that really, really, really does matter at the highest of levels. But, man, thanks for stepping in Tuesday and Wednesday of last week for me. I appreciate that.
Of course, you're welcome. I have to ask, how close is Behringer's to one of my favorite JMV remotes of all time when you did a show at an IGA on the south side? How close are we talking here?
It is literally right down. That's the old Bucks, IGA, and you're right, I did a show there once upon a time, right there as you walked in, and it was really popular because I think they set me up at the lottery ticket counter.
Right.
And there's a million people come over to see me. Yeah.
Well, I told them that you could announce produce specials during breaks. I thought that was always special. So.
It is literally a block away, a block to the south from where we are. That's at Meridian and Troy. We're at Pleasant Run Parkway in Troy, or I should say Pleasant Run Parkway in Meridian right now is where we are. So a block away.
Some good folks in your neck of the woods today, my friend.
There, no doubt about that, too. Greg, I appreciate you.
See you, buddy.
Greg Rakestraw on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I've mentioned this before. Cam is our on-site engineer who is awesome, is from Perry Township. Perry Meridian. Cam's mom is in the house today, too, which is absolutely awesome. Gotta love Cam's mom being here. Rob is the owner of Behringer's. He's here as well. He's here every day, though. You're here every day. How you doing, brother?
Good. How are you?
Good, man. What you got going on? I love being here on Tuesday. This is a hell of an idea. I don't know who came up with it, but a great idea.
Probably Travis.
Well done, Travis.
Beautiful day. Got the window open there.
Love the window open. Love getting honked at out here, too. That's awesome. So, hell yeah.
So I was listening to you and Rakestraw. This is like the greatest time ever for a sports guy.
It is. Yesterday was so good. You had 2 Monday night games. You had 2, championship series games. And you had the Pacers playing in the preseason. I mean, it was pretty awesome Monday night around here. It was.
And we play them pretty much all.
Yeah.
So you can come here and watch the game, too.
You can watch anything you want right here. You got the ice-cold beer and the great food. Hey, remind everybody about the great food, too, and what is the favorite. Like, I saw this table up here. Did they get grilled cheese and tomato soup, or was I seeing things?
I don't think it was tomato soup.
What is it?
We do have the Southie, which is a grilled cheese sandwich with pulled pork on it.
That's a Southie. That makes sense. Is that the favorite on the menu, or what might stand out?
Hand cut and cubed tenderloins, breaded tenderloins. It's Indiana favorite.
It is.
Burgers. We'd smoke our wings.
I tell everybody all the time, you could spend hours just looking at the pictures and the memorabilia on the walls.
Oh, for sure.
It's just so incredible.
It was a treasure trove when we took this over.
This is like Indianapolis Americana right here. It is just awesome. What a great place. And you've done such a great job to continue the legacy and to build the legacy even more.
I appreciate
Love coming here. One of my all-time favorites, and it's funny, during COVID, I mentioned this during COVID, Matt Taylor, the voice of the Colts, used to come in here, like sit, yeah, what's up? Sit in the back and do his work here. So,
right.
So it was pretty cool.
It's funny. During COVID, this was about 10 different people's office.
It was office. Yeah, exactly.
All the tables were apart and everybody had their own.
Exactly. Well, it wasn't during the part of COVID when you weren't allowed, but it was when everybody was allowed out, but nobody was going to the office.
Right.
Instead,
that's what
they were smartly coming here. All right, you want to rejoin us a little bit later on?
Yeah, for sure.
Rob from Behringer's, he is the owner, my man. Travis, was this your idea on a Tuesday here? What a tremendous idea to make a Tuesday show right here, brother. There's a reason why Travis got promoted. That's like promotion-worthy decision-making right there. Well done. Hey, what's up? Hey, we're on South Meridian. You can hear the people honking when you drive by Behringer's Tavern. The window is open. If you're listening, let us know. If you have time, stop with the ice-cold beer and the Southie, for example, the great food on the menu at Behringer's. Rick Venturi's got however long that Rick wants to go coming up at the top of the hour. That is something that is going to be must hear. Eddie Gill, the former NBA guard, Pacers Radio and TV after 5. Don't go anywhere unless you join us here at Behringer's Tavern on the South Side. South Meridian on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
A ride with JMV.
Smokey, this is not Nam. This is bowling. There are rules.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
The spreadability of Win Schuler's. Have you found it yet? Somebody told me, well, I actually told James, and James told me, what was the Meyer location? They were struggling to find it?
I think he said Camden.
Canby,
that's what it was.
So, hey, the Canby Meyer location, let's get restocked with the spreadability. Win Schuler's. If you find it, let me know. Send it to me in picture form at JMV 1070. Original sharp cheddar bacon and cheddar and jalapeno pepper. That's Win Schuler's spreadability. Put that, seriously, you can utilize this, thank you, brother, on the grill. And here's what I mean. Put Win Schuler's spreadability on your burger the next time. You will love it, I promise. You're snacking to the next level. Win Schuler's spreadability. Find it in your local Meyer location. Gordon Food Service, for example, on US 31 South in Greenwood, or hopefully anywhere you find your favorite refrigerated products, the spreadability of Win Schuler's. Cam, our on-site engineer, his mom is here. We did not get your mom's name. Let's give her some love. Go ahead, get on the air and give her some love.
It's Anna.
Anna's awesome. Hey, what's up? That was a honk for Anna right there. That wasn't for this show. That was a honk for Anna. Has Anna ever been to a live show of ours before? Oh, that's awesome. Anna, you got to start coming out all the time, okay? All right. I think we've sold Anna on the show right here, which is great. Oh, man. Alicia and Christopher are here with us as well in promotions, and that is my man James back at the studio. I did want to read this, James, before I hit a break, and Rick Venturi, top of the hour. I know you guys have questions. 317-239-1070. The text line is open, but I did want to get to this. JMV, Tyler here. My grandpa, who passed away in March of 2024, got me started in my IU football fandom at 5 years of age when he took me to my first game. I've stuck with IU football through it all. It's bittersweet, man, seeing IU have the success they're having this year and last year. He and my grandma attended the Rose Bowl game when IU played USC with O.J. Simpson as running back. That was, back in 67, I believe, was that particular year. So, Tyler, that's pretty awesome. Thank you for sharing that story with us. All right, questions for Rick on the other side, however long he wants to go, the former NFL coach and the radio analyst, Rick Venturi. The first 6 weeks of the season, the Colts are 5-1. The likes, the dislikes, and the rest of the year and what is necessary. Rick Venturi coming up next. The legendary Behringer's Tavern, Southside, me, Cam, Christopher, Alicia, Anna, Rob, and all the gang right here. We would love to see you. Honk if you're driving by South Meridian as well. We would love to have you on a glorious Tuesday in Central Indiana with 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
In need of top-quality ready-mix concrete and aggregate products? For over 70 years, Shelby Materials has been making an impact on construction in central Indiana. Whether it's houses, warehouses, driveways, or highways, Shelby Materials strives to deliver the industry-leading customer service and solutions that our clients have come to expect. Just ask the Colts. We've been a proud construction partner of the Colts for over 20 years. Learn more about how you can have the Shelby impact on your next construction project at shelbymaterials.com.
Hey, welcome back. Behringer's Tavern, the legendary Behringer's Tavern on the south side. Hey, if you're heading down South Meridian right now, either north or southbound, if you come by Behringer's and you can't stop, which you should stop, make sure you honk your horn if you're listening, because I want to make sure that our next guest hears that you're listening. Rick Venturi, former NFL coach from the radio networks, kind enough to join us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, kind of the state of the Colts through the first 6 weeks of the season. And Rick, thank you. Before we start, and I know this is right down your musical wheelhouse, I should say. My daughter is tonight in Des Moines, Iowa. She's 15. She's in Des Moines, Iowa, ready to see Sir Paul McCartney in concert tonight.
Oh, my God. You talk
15.
about generational. I saw McCartney here in the not in the dome, in the arena, in the basketball arena. I even forget what it was called back then. And for some reason, I got tickets where I was sitting behind him, looking down. And something that was spectacular that day that I never realized is when he played the piano, he actually played sheet music. And something blew the sheet away, and some little guy in the back came sprinting out and put the sheets right back in Paul's lap. So, oh my God, good for her. Thank God. Thank God Paul's not forgotten.
And it's weird, too, because Des Moines, Iowa is kind of an odd place to be. So our good friend Kyle Kinnett with Bullseye got him some tickets up there. So she goes and she's in the elevator, and she's in the same hotel with McCartney. And she gets on the elevator with a guy holding a guitar. And the guy said, I'm the lead guitarist in Paul McCartney's band. So, yeah, they struck up a conversation, which was really weird. And then she goes and looks at a picture of his band, and that was the guy that they were with in the elevator. So, yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's
and she's
rock
a big
royalty now.
She's a big Beatles fan, big Wings fan. She loves Fleetwood Mac. She's kind of an old musical soul right here, so she's excited.
I love it. We could have many discussions. I absolutely love Stevie Nicks. Oh my God, Fleetwood Mac and Paul McCartney. My God, I span the time. Matt and I talk music all the time, and he's big into Allman Brothers, and Southern rock.
Yeah.
But I got to tell him, man, when I was a kid growing up, I used to listen to Elvis on WLS out of Chicago.
Oh yeah, man, those are great times, and my daughter collects vinyl, has a lot of vinyl albums, and plays vinyl all the time too. So it's pretty cool. But Des Moines, Iowa, with Sir Paul McCartney in concert coming up later on tonight. All right, let's get down to business. Everybody's listening for this. 5-1 to start the season. The State of the Colts report with you, Rick. Where do we begin? Let's start with the positives and the ultimate likes for you through these first 6 weeks.
Well, I don't think there's any question that the ultimate like has been the sensational performance by the offense. I thought I think everybody thought we would be better, John. I don't think anybody thought we would be as good as we are. As we sit today, as we sit this morning, this afternoon, the Colts are number one in the league in scoring at 32-3. Number one. Danny is number one in the league in QBR at 79.7, which is astonishing. Jonathan is first in the league in rushing, at whatever it is, 603. And Warren, I don't think without question, is right in the money with Ibuka as Rookie of the Year, and probably has already established himself as the best tight end vet or rookie in the league. So, those numbers are outstanding. I would say this. I think, and I hear, when things are going good, that we find a lot of reasons why we're good. But I'm just going to say this, and I say it unequivocally, Danny has elevated this entire franchise. He's lifted the coaching staff, the play callers, he's lifted the roster, certainly everybody on offense. He's given us leadership, decisiveness, Sunday accuracy. He can escape when he has to, and he has shown people how to prepare. And, when you look at it, John, they can tell me about, this makes the difference, with the exception of Warren, and that's a good addition. But when it was all said and done, this is the same staff and the same cast of characters that have been mediocre or worse. And here's a couple measuring sticks for you, okay? And you can kind of put your hat on that. Number one measuring stick is that we're leading the league in scoring. That's a measuring stick in itself. But this is one that I kind of have been dealing with the last couple of days, and it almost knocked me out when I saw it, is the Colts are an impressive plus 78 in point differential. I mean, a plus 78. And do you know we were at the end of 2024? We were a minus 50. So you really don't have to know much else about that. No, this is an offense that has really come together, and with a really good quarterback, and I call it the three ambiens in my book, is Jones and JT and Warren. Those guys are ambient players. They're playing as well as anybody in the league right now. But what it's also done is it's elevated everybody else. What's happened now is that Steichen, because he trusts his quarterback and he's playing pro football, he's not playing half college football, half pro football, he's able to find better roles for Pittman, who I consider a hybrid. Pittman's a dirty work guy. I've always said he's a tight end in a wide receiver body, but he'll do everything for you blocking. He's really good in that over-the-middle stuff, really good in the flat stuff and catch and go a little bit, really good blocker. Downs has now become a master of third and medium, and third and medium is the critical down in the league, 4 to 6. That's where it's a 50-50 ratio, and nobody can cover him on third down. And we're doing a really good job of moving him around both on third and medium and in the red zone, and he's just uncoverable. Now, he's not going to have big numbers in terms of yardage, but he is going to move the chains. He is just amazing in there, and you saw him actually reach out. And then you're getting, with Pierce coming back, that was huge. He's, again, coming back. He's the leading receiver in yardage a year ago with 23-3. He makes two really good downfield plays. And the catch, the backhand catch was amazing, and he made it look so easy. He gives us that deep threat. You've got Doolin if you need him. You even have Mitchell. I mean, so all of a sudden, everybody has elevated their play because of the quarterback. And then your offensive line has been really stable running it. I think our protection unit, or what I would say our protection coordination, has been better than ever. And I think that has to do with your quarterback getting the protection, getting you in the right spots. If he sees a trouble area that we can't handle, he'll either get rid of it quick or he'll beat it with his legs. I think Jonathan Taylor has not only added the running game, but he has become a better receiver. He's going to get more balls around the red zone, catching it where he's isolated. But the other thing that he's done, and I've never seen him do this well, as a matter of fact, it's been a liability. He's been a terrific protector in there. I can't say enough about Nelson. I thought Nelson had a really good year last year, but he is balling it. I mean, he is the premier offensive lineman in the league right now, personal escort service for JT on the edge. And I would say that he's playing like a generational lineman. Obviously, he was drafted up there, but he's playing to that level. And then if you go one step further, our tight ends are doing a really good job. I mean, obviously, everybody knows about Warren and what he's the Swiss Army knife that he is. I mean, he's a blocker, he's a receiver, he's a route runner. He carries the ball, he's throwing a pass. He blocks like crazy. He blocks tenaciously. But so has Mo Alley Cox, and so has Ogletree. I mean, those guys have really made a difference in the running game. So at this point, this offense, quarterback led, is firing on all cylinders, John. And there's not you have to pick it clean to find things that you don't like. I mean, I don't think that any of us, and myself included, although I was all in on Danny Jones, I never thought that at the end of 6 weeks that we would be number one in the league in scoring.
So Rick Venturi on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. We got him here in the 4 o'clock hour live at Behringer's Tavern on South Meridian on a Tuesday. Thank you all for joining us. And again, he's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. So I'm curious, how much has this opened up having Daniel Jones under center, the Shane Steichen playbook? How apprehensive had he been up until this point to go with, let's just say, for example, every single chapter of that playbook? Because it looks like it's wide open because of his trust in the execution of the quarterback now.
No, I think you're exactly right. I mean, I think in the past, our quarterback situation has been fluid. Last year he was going back and forth between a drop back guy that couldn't run and basically a guy that you had to run a college offense. So there always, I think, was in his mind, he had to taper it all the time. He had to, and you have to do that as a coach. You taper to what you have. And I think in that sense, he was condensed. And I think it all goes to Danny Jones from that standpoint. He is playing NFL football. He is not afraid to open it up. I think the formula has been, and it's really been effective. Somebody asked me one time, what do you establish? You establish the run or the pass. And I always said what you want to do is establish the lead. And what he's been able to do, and this is with Jones and the confidence he has in Jones and everybody else, is he's come out firing, John, as you said. He's come out and he stretched the field. He took 2 shots in the first 2 series, even though they were incomplete. He took 2 shots down outside and deep. He's firing the ball. He's moving Danny around. He's really doing a great job of moving him with those bootlegs, which puts pressure on the edge because of Danny's athleticism. He's got receivers out in the flat, a plethora of that. And then he's got guys coming across with misdirection. And the other thing all that bootleg does in a very simplistic manner is it really takes half your rush away because you're away from the ball. You can't get there. So you're really dealing with a defensive end to your side, and you're putting him in conflict. Do I drop? Do I not? The one time the Arizona kid dropped, Danny went 17 yards on the edge. So, yeah, I think there's no doubt about that. And then what happens, and I've seen this from a defensive standpoint, when you're throwing that ball all over the place and you're moving your quarterback, what happens with the defense, they start trying to play pass, and then you can just see it in the secondary. And I've noticed this, and it has nothing to do with coaching, is your defensive corners and your safeties, when you're throwing the ball on them and spreading them and attacking vertically and horizontally, everything tends to back up a little bit. Everything tends to widen and stretch. And it's not even something that you coach. Like if Minshew's your quarterback, and I thought he was probably as good as anybody for us, but you could see a defense just crowd us by the end of the game because we were never going to be able to push it. They would just sit on us. Now, as you back up, now what happens when you get late into that third quarter, and this has been the formula, and if we don't have bonehead mistakes against the Rams, it would have worked there because we had the 53-yarder call back, is now the defense is a little fatigued. They're trying to play pass. They're widening and they're deepening, and now you hit them with the ram. You hit them with the horse, and that's when Jonathan, I've always said to you, Jonathan is a cumulative runner. Hand him the ball, and he's going to beat you late in the third quarter, and he's going to destroy you in the fourth quarter. And that, if you want to look at an identity, that really has been an identity that the Colts have achieved this year for the first time. That's open you up, stretch you vertically and horizontally, move my quarterback on your edge, and then as you deepen and widen, we take it right to you with Jonathan.
What's up, Rick Venturi on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Normally this time of year is when teams defensively start catching up, especially with rookies and their usage. And you brought up Tyler Warren a little bit earlier. He has been awesome. And in fact, I would maintain that they could utilize him more if they actually wanted to, and he could be even more productive than he is. But, they've been really good so far the way that it is anyway. But do you expect defenses at all? Because I know the schedule gets a little bit tougher. Will they catch up with him, or is he just simply put, along with his offense, Rick, that advanced?
Well, he's always going to be a handful because he is really a hybrid player. I mean, I think we talked about this in the preseason. He's a guy that is truly a tight end that you can line up opposite Mo Alley and have two big-time edge blockers and run it. But with the same personnel grouping, I can flex him outside. He can be the fullback. He can be outside in the widest position. He can isolate you at number 3 inside. So I have a fullback, a tight end, and a wide receiver all in one. So he'll always be a handful, in that regard. But here's what I think we have to make sure we stay on top of, and that's why Pierce, Doolin, and Mitchell are still important to us. If I'm a defensive coordinator, I am going to basically say, going into the game, and in general terms, I'm going to take away Jonathan and I'm going to take away Warren, okay? I'm going to take away those two guys. Those two guys are ambiens who I am going to scheme to take away and close the edge with Danny, okay? So by that I mean in more specific, nerdy terms, I'm going to basically line up 9 guys. Now, I don't mean 9 guys on the ball, but 9 guys inside the numbers, all right? So that I'm going to pack in the coverage on Warren and at the same time pack in my safeties on Jonathan, so I have an 8-man front, but I always have a man and a half on Warren. So that's how I'm going to play you. Now, what is the weakness of that? The weakness of that, if I have 9 guys inside the numbers, I only have 2 guys outside the numbers, 1 on each side. So I think we're going to see more and more of that, and they're going to force us to throw outside and win on the outside, and that's where the speed of Pierce and Doolin and Mitchell is so important when they do pack everything in. And it's not just Warren. Pittman is effective in there too, but you're going to pack everything in on those top guys and make you win on the outside, and that's going to be the critical area. Nobody's been able to do that yet, but we will see that as we get. And I think particularly when we play those division games in the second half of the season, we got 4 critical division games, including 2 with Jacksonville in December. I think you're going to see a lot of that philosophy when we get there.
He's Rick Venturi, the radio network, the former coach. Is kind enough to join us with the State of the Colts report from him on this Tuesday. 93.5, 107.5, The Fan, the stream, the app. You got us right there. Behringer's Tavern on South Meridian's our location, and he's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. And maybe this just equals out, Rick. But I got to thinking last week, and then now I think it's even more magnified after that win on Sunday. Who's benefited more from the other, Shane Steichen or Daniel Jones, in this offensive equation for the Colts so far this year?
Well, I mean, I think they're tied at the hip, but I don't think there's any question that this team has elevated because of Danny Jones. Now, I don't want to take anything away from Steichen because Steichen's done a really good job with him. He has the reputation of the play caller. He's got the kind of team he wants now. But without Danny Jones, we would be as average as we were a year ago. Remember, this is plus 78. We were minus 50 a year ago. Now, who changed it? I just cannot say enough about Danny Jones. I just don't think that. I don't think the expectations here. Certainly, even though there's a lot of bandwagoners now, there wasn't much expectations here on Danny Jones, and I just think that he is the difference.
No, and you're absolutely right. You have been on board with that the entirety of the time, and it's funny. One of the things that I think about, because you brought up Alec Pierce a moment ago, one of the things that was always said is he doesn't have the deep ball. And you know what, Rick? Maybe he doesn't have the strongest of arms, but he's a deep ball threat because he complements Alec Pierce because he can go get it. And I will say this about Alec Pierce. When he's been healthy and out there, he has shown, I think, a little bit more of a repertoire of a receiver than just the jump ball guy this year, too.
Oh, John, I think that's a great observation, and you may have heard me say it. I may have said it on your show. I think that Pierce is he is, if not the most, one of the most improved football players that I've ever been around over a 3-year period. When he came in, he was fast. He could run by you, and he could go get it if you throw it over the top. But he was a one-trick pony. He got better last year. The biggest jump last year is he learned how to play the 50-50 ball. He's a volleyball player. He learned how to go up and compete for the hard 50-50 ball. And then this year what I've seen is he's gotten so much smoother on coming off the break in the second level. I mean, the two big catches Sunday, they were deep. They were in that second level, down in that 20-yard area. Both of them dig routes coming inside. And so, yeah, there is no doubt. And, going back to the deep ball, Drew Brees was a good deep ball thrower, and he could never throw it beyond 48 yards. That's all about timing. But what I do like, and I didn't see this in preseason, I was a little concerned about this, is that, as I said, he and Steichen are going after people, and even if they're not successful, they're throwing that deep ball. I mean, right off the bat, he threw it up the seam to Warren one-on-one on the outside. And then I think on the second series, he launched one to Pierce. They were both incomplete, but he can show you right now he's not gonna back away from it. And that I like that mentality, both coaching and playing, because again, when you're doing that, what do? You widen and you stretch the defense, and then pretty soon that horse, number 28, he's going to be running against lighter boxes, and then it's over for him.
So Rick Venturi with us. I'll tell you what, Rick, hang tight, because I do want to get to some aspects that maybe need to be addressed defensively.
Gotcha.
You and I had a bit of a conversation about, the lack. There's a pass rush, and then there is a pass rush that makes a quarterback rush decision and change the decision. I want to get to that and the secondary and the Colts defense, if you wouldn't mind, on the other side. So, Rick, hang tight. We'll come back with you coming up on the other side. I know a lot of you have questions as well. If you want to send something in for Rick, I'll see it and ask. 317-239-1070. That is the text line. I've got a couple in there right now, but if I have time, we'll work those in for Rick coming up on the other side. Behringer's Tavern, South Side, South Meridian. I am hanging out the window right now, so be sure to honk when you come by, or better yet, if you want to stop and have a beer with us, that is even better. South Meridian location. We're at Behringer's Tavern on this Tuesday. Rick Venturi rejoins Eddie Gill, top of the 5 o'clock hour. With the Pacers so far in the preseason, there is zero reason for you to go anywhere. Sit tight. The AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
Ride with JMV.
This will be the high point of my day. It's all downhill from here.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Hey, shout out to you. If you're going southbound on South Meridian, well, we're at Behringer's Tavern, so honk at us. But be cool because we got a critter alert. I'm not Marlon Perkins in Wild Kingdom, but there is a groundhog that is directly across from where I'm standing right now. So I don't know what the hell creek this is right here, but it's a Pleasant Run Parkway. And it's funny, I come down Bluff every single day, go up and then come down Bluff to go back home. And I see a number of groundhogs, but there is a groundhog just chilling like a villain right across. I think he's actually enjoying the show right now. So be careful. Do not mess with the groundhog that is literally right across the road from me at Pleasant Run Parkway and Meridian. And Behringer's, just stop here and have an ice cold beer with us. We'd love to have you as we bring back on board from the Colts Radio Network, the former coach and the incredible friend of this show, Rick Venturi. You know, Cam, the on-site engineer, actually wanted me to ask you this, and I think it's with good reason. Is Ashton Doolin being used defensively? Is that kind of akin? Is that in the similar neighborhood of like how Troy Brown used to be utilized in New England back in the day, Rick?
Well, you know, it's all hands on deck, and the thing about him is he's always a candidate to swing in there, especially when you're beat up like we're beat up right now in that secondary, because he not only is a terrific athlete, and man, did he show his speed in that game a week ago, you know, with the return and then the long pass that he caught. He just showed tremendous speed, but he's also tough. I mean, he's made his bones as a tough special teams player. So, you know, you don't have many guys that have that combination, but he's one of them. And like I said, it's all hands on deck right now. I mean, we lose guys in the pre-game warm-up. I mean, goodness gracious. I mean, it's really amazing what has happened in our secondary. I know you want to talk defense, but you know, but that is not a total surprise with Doolin. And the Troy Brown, the Troy Brown analogy is a good one.
Hey, Rick, I mentioned this a little bit earlier. It's easy for me to get on here and start shaking my fist and screaming about they got to do something. You know, now is the time. Trade deadline, make it happen. You know, I talk about edge rushers that may be available and in the secondary. Where would you go with this? And is it as necessary as I make it out to be? Unknowingly, I guess, on this show here in the past couple of days?
Well, I think it depends on, you know, on the severity of Ward's injury, which I haven't heard yet. You know, if he's going to be out an extended amount of time, you have to get corner depth. Now, understand this: you're not going to get great players in October, okay, unless you make some blockbuster trade. But I don't really see that. So what you're going to get is you're going to get depth pieces. You're not going to fix the problem. You're just going to make sure it doesn't get any worse. So I wouldn't be surprised if they get a corner. You know, the amazing thing is that you did ask me. When you asked me about 3 or 4 days into training camp what I thought of our secondary, I honestly, and with the addition of Lou as a defensive coordinator who's more of a man-to-man choke guy, I felt like, you know, with Ward, with Wally and Jones and Kenny, you know, and Cross and Bynum, I felt like in my heart, this wasn't a homer. This was not a company line. I felt like that was the best 6 athletes that we could put on the field in the defensive backfield in years, maybe decades, in terms of the total 6. So if you played nickel or dime, you were going to be outstanding, particularly with this scheme. You know, little did we know, you know, that we would go into the 6th game of the season without Ward, who are your 2 best corners, okay, Kenny inside and Ward outside, and that you end up playing with Blackman, you end up playing with Edwards, you end up playing with Lamont. I mean, really, that is an amazing, amazing feat. It's just been really a nightmare. It's one of those years where it just seems like everything bad happens in one position. And so right now, I mean, we're just holding on. I mean, you know, I expected, you know, our corners to struggle. They did, but a lot of it was, you know, routes that came across field that took forever to develop, you know, without any pressure. And I thought those kids really competed. Blackman did come up with a huge red zone interception, which erased 7. You know, Lamont in the 4th down stop at the end on McBride. I'm yelling on the air. They're going to McBride, and he actually forced it, but Lamont knocked it off on 4th down. You know, which took away 7 more. So, you know, those kids had their moments. I mean, they erased 14 points, or, you know, I mean, Arizona's looking at a 40-point game, to tell you the truth. But, you know, we need to get those top guys back if we're going to be a championship team. You know, you're going to only get by with this. I mean, we played, and no disrespect to Jacoby. I mean, we played a backup quarterback, you know, and without their number one outside receiver, gave up 401 yards, you know, I mean, in 320 passing. So that's really unacceptable. But I'm not going to put it on those kids. The only thing is that forces, when you just don't have a shutdown guy and you can't play as much man, it becomes like a domino effect. You end up playing more zone, and honestly, our linebackers have been, I don't think, very good at all in pass coverage. Both of them, I thought they were all over the place Sunday. You know, they're not athletic. You might as well blitz them because they're really not athletic. And when we do play zones, we have holes everywhere, and so it just kind of magnifies as we go. But you know, this is another subject. But this is my pet peeve Sunday. I was totally disappointed in our front four. I mean, I'm just totally disappointed. I can't. You know, when you're hurting in the back end and you have to compensate there a little bit schematically, you know, you got to get some pass rush. Let me say this. We got no pass rush. They called 48 passes in the huddle, 48. They end up launching 44. Now, Jacoby is a notoriously slow release, hold the ball guy, which he did against Sunday. Notorious. Their offensive line going into the game was 26th in the league in sacks given up, even with that little rabbit back there who can run out of trouble. So this was a game, and actually all 4 teams that were playing in October are 24th or less in sacks. I mean, 24, they're bottom feeders. And yet we got one. We had one first-wave sack, and that was a Tex game that Quiddy Pay got. Nobody blocked him. He didn't really beat anybody. It's just, I call it a scheme sack. Tex game, tackle goes out, takes the guard, of which Lewis did a good job. Pay comes underneath. They just blow it, and we get the quarterback. I mean, we get one first-wave sack. A second-wave sack is when the quarterback scrambles out and you catch him a yard behind. To me, that's a second-wave sack, not a first-wave sack. So in 48 call passes, we have one first-wave sack, and that was the scheme sack. Now, when you look at the tape, what that's telling you, we were just locked up all day. I mean, you've heard of Velcro. I mean, you put Velcro to tie your sleeves together. That we were Velcroed to their offensive line. At some times we have 3 number 1 draft choices in that defensive line, and we didn't get anything done, in my opinion. And really, until we develop a stud or an ambient edge rusher, because a defensive tackle, honestly, can only do so much like Buckner. And until you get that edge guy where full protections have to move towards them, chipping, all that nudging, all that stuff has to be there. And until you really establish that, we're going to struggle against really good teams. I mean, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. I always think about when they selected Leatu Latu year before last, and Chris was caught on camera saying, we just got the best defensive player on the draft. And then I think about what Jared Verse is, an absolute terror, and how much better that may have.
Later.
4 places later. That makes you think about that. And somebody had asked me, I think it was Jordan Carmel, asked me on the text stream, Rick, about Leatu Latu dropping into pass coverage. And I don't so much care about that. I know that that gets everybody kind of excited, but it'd excite me if, they did put the pressure. And there's a different level, and I want you to explain that to people, because I tried to a little bit earlier, and I probably didn't say it right. Explain to people different levels of true, real quarterback pressure defensively.
Yeah, well, that's what I really call first wave hits. Basically pressure that either gets the quarterback down or affects the throw. For instance, one of the best rushes, if not the best rush one-on-one, was Adebawore in the fourth quarter on the third down on the hit on Jacoby as he released. It was the third down, and he beat that guy on the line, and he hit Jacoby at the launch point. He hit him, he forced a bad throw, and that forced a field goal, which erased 4 points. Totally, with 2 red zone stops and that, we were able to erase 18 points off the board, or we get killed. And that was another fourth quarter play, that Addy's play, and then Lamont's play down in the red zone. Both of them red zone plays that really saved points and really held it to 3, but it came down to 2 plays. So to me, what I'm looking for is you beat your man. Now, sometimes you'll get a schematic sack, like the Tex game was schematic. Early in the game, we brought a GK off the right side on a really well-designed blitz, and even though he didn't get the sack, he knocked the hell out of Jacoby at the launch point. And that's the important thing on the launch point. Did you sack him, or did you really affect it? You have to affect the throw. A quarterback hit as he releases, but it's a completion. Right now, you either play what I call hand grenades or horseshoes, okay? Horseshoes, when you're playing horseshoes, you get paid for being close, okay? But we're not playing horseshoes. When you're playing hand grenades, you get the damn quarterback down. I mean, you blow it up. You either blow up the quarterback or you don't. A lot of sacks are run-down sacks where the quarterback's running around and you run him down, and those are all important. They're important plays. But they're not pass rush plays, really. And what I don't see is guys winning one-on-ones. Like I pointed out Adewale, and you'll see Buckner do it some. Buckner will win some one-on-ones. But where we're not winning them consistently is on the edge, and we have at least 2 number ones playing out there and some high draft picks along the way. So, this is, to me, this is not the time for excuses, because you're not going to go out and get a great edge rusher at this point. So, to me, this is the time to get in their grill. That was hard to watch. If you watch the tape as a coach Sunday, you're really disappointed. Like I said, this is not the time for excuses. This is the time to fix it, because you can be fat and happy at 5-1, but some of those ills will come back to get you, and then you won't be fat and happy. But the good news is it's a lot easier to get in the grill after a win. When you lose a game and you're demoralized, it's a little bit different psychologically. But now, this would be the time. I'd have that defensive line in there, and I'd be ripping this week, to be honest with you.
So, Rick Venturi, Rick, sit tight. I want to come back with you. Addressing needs, is that possible prior to the trade deadline? And where this team is right now, where you absolutely, to me, have to take advantage of a 5-1 start and this particular year. We can talk about the future. Now, what's up next year or the year after that? But I want to live in the now. Rick, we'll close with you coming up in this hour on the other side. Rick Venturi, the former NFL coach for the Colts Radio Network. Legendary Behringer's Tavern. You guys have been honking. Thank you guys very much. We'd love for you to stop. But honk if you're driving by South Meridian, the legendary last chance location of Behringer's Tavern, South Meridian on a glorious Tuesday. Don't go anywhere. Rick Venturi rejoins to close out the 4 o'clock hour. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
This channel is reserved for emergency calls only.
Lady, do I sound like I'm ordering a pizza?
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Windschuler Spreadability. Original sharp cheddar bacon and cheddar jalapeno pepper. Now you're going to find Windschuler's your favorite Meijer location, Gordon Food Service as well. You're going to love it for all your snack and Windschuler Spreadability for the football and just in general the fall season of 2025. Windschuler's, Behringer's Tavern, Southside, South Meridian. Thank you all for joining us. Rick Venturi rejoins us right now. So if you're Chris Ballard, do you look into some sort of trade deadline move? I mean, has this team proven to you that you go as all in as you would? Because, again, this is not normal protocol or scripted by what the Colts would do, but they have been different in the offseason in their approach, and certainly this has worked to a 5-1 start. What would you do to address some of these needs, especially as you referenced defensively, Rick?
Well, first of all, to me, you should always be in a win-now situation. I think you in this league, it's not for long. You play every year to win, and you build along the way, and you can play to win, and still not ransom the future. I think because we're off to the 5-1 start, and because our offense is playing at a sensational level, number one in the league, I think it should be all in, and I think you should look at every possible venue, every possible resource to try to win, and that will be basically to make the defense better. Offensively, barring injury, I think this is sustainable. I don't think there's any reason why it's not sustainable. Our special teams is very solid. It's gonna depend on Badgley. As you see with the new kickoff rule, kickoffs are an adventure, and he's got to get the hang of that. You don't want to be giving him the ball on the 40 all the time. He did what he had to do Sunday. Really wasn't taxed. That's going to be the critical aspect. But we've got a good return game. We got a good coverage game. I think all that's stable. That'll come down to the kicker, and you're probably not going to do any better. You're just going to have to hope that he holds up. And defensively, if you could make a move like the Chargers made a decent move on a second tier but pretty good rusher in Owe, from the Raiders this week, he's 24. You're going to see him. He's got 24 career sacks in 4 years. I mean, he's, or in 3 years. I mean, he's a pretty good guy. I mean, I think you investigate every single thing, and in our case, you win and lose with corners and edge rushers. I mean, in my opinion, you really win from outside in, corners and rushers, and so that's the area you're going to look for. I really have my doubts that any great player is going to come at this stage in the game. So, what you're probably going to need corner depth right now. So I wouldn't be surprised that we'll get some type of corner. I don't think you're going to get anybody who's going to make a big difference, but give us depth because we're really thin now. I think the biggest issue for us is going to be to get Ward, Kenny Moore, and Jones back. I think in the next 2 weeks now, next week is going to be taxing because Herbert has a really good receiving core. There's a much better receiving core than we played the last 2 weeks, which has been a non-entity receiving core. But the Chargers, even though their offensive line is bad and it's all banged up, and they're down to their third running back, but they still have three good receivers, and McConkey is just tearing it up now. So, I mean, the biggest thing is we got to get Moore, Ward, and Jalen Jones back. If we could get those three guys back, then Lou can go back and play the way he wants to. He can match Ward on the top receiver. He can scheme to the other side. Cross and Bynum are outstanding safeties. I think our linebacking core is tough on the run, but not very good on the pass. But I still say, it's a game of corners and defensive rush guys. And I just think somehow, some way, we've got to get these guys coached better in the front. I mean, we got to turn them loose. There's too much static play, and I'm not sure there just isn't too much stunning. When you stunt, occasionally you want to stunt, but when you're doing it all the time, you're not taking straight lines to the quarterback. You're playing laterally along the line, and a good offensive line will pick it up. We've got to get out on those edges and go. We've got to establish that edge rush that can collapse, that can run the hoop and come back down. And actually our inside guys, I think, will hold up, particularly with Adebawore coming. But I think the biggest thing, like I said, is it's going to take health. If we play our A game, we should be 7-1 in the next 2 weeks. We should really win both games. But you're going to have to take your A game for sure to San Diego, even though they're a patched up team. But Jim will have them ready. There's no doubt about that. But that'll be a battle. But that's winnable, and certainly Tennessee is at home. So, I mean, you could be at the halfway point. Hopefully that buys us time. But we're not going to survive with no pass rush and patched up corners unless we do something about it. Part of it's going to be scheme. I think the most important thing, realistically, is to get those guys healthy.
Yeah, I agree with you on so much, really all of what you just said, but certainly when you look ahead, I mean, take advantage of where you're living, in the moment and in the now.
Oh, yeah.
You're always in a win-now mode. And we got so sick and tired of hearing about the future. I don't give a damn about the future. I mean, I want to see the heartbeat and see this thing going right now.
I coached 27 years in the NFL, and I felt like I was on a 1-week contract for 27 years. And I think that's how you should look at it. You do everything possible. You investigate and use every resource you can. It's just that you build your team in the off season. You very seldom build it in late October.
No, there's no doubt about that. And
but on the other hand, though, we get them healthy. We get those 3 defensive backs healthy for the late run. We got enough in the building to win. And I just think this defensive line is underachieving. And I think that's the coaches have to make something happen there.
Rick, absolute pleasure. The 6-week report with Rick Venturi. Man, people love that. I do too. Thank you so much. We'll catch up again coming up on Sunday on the Colts pregame huddle and do this again later on this year. But awesome stuff as always, buddy.
John, I always love being on with you. You're down there today. You're going to have to come up to Wolfie's or the boathouse up here on the lake, and then we'll get a bonus. We'll get a bonus act together.
We'll do 3 hours with you right there.
Yeah,
man.
we will.
That's better than just an hour. Yeah, it will.
We absolutely will.
Hey, thank you, Rick. I appreciate it.
All right, Johnny. Talk at you.
Rick Venturi. That was awesome. Podcast that one up, James, at 1075thefan.com. South Meridian. Hey, Wolfies, the boathouse, one of these days, bring our ass up there. We're ready to go. We'll bring Rick with us. South Meridian. This is the legendary last chance stop. I'm telling you, Capone, Dillinger, JMV. Behringer's Tavern on the south side. How you doing? We'll come back. Eddie Gill, the former guard of the Pacers and the radio network and the television analyst as well, joins us on the other side. Hey, don't go anywhere. Behringer's Tavern, south side. It's a Tuesday. We'd love to see you here, but honk if you're on South Meridian, 93.5, 107.5. The Fan, thank you.
Ride with JMV.
I am the cream, the cream of the crop. And there is no one that does it better.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Behringer's Tavern and James brings us back with Earth, Wind, and Fire on this Tuesday on South Meridian. Hawk, if you're driving by, better yet, stop on this Tuesday if you have the opportunity. You, too, can hang out with Cam, the on-site engineer's mom, just like me. So, Kim, the Colts and the Chargers are the only two teams unbeaten against AFC talent, against AFC teams. That would make that an incredibly large game coming up on Sunday afternoon. If you missed Rick Venturi, the podcast, an entire hour with Rick, a State of the Union of sorts of the Colts through 6 weeks of the season and 5-1 with Rick Venturi, the former Colts, and from the Colts Radio Network. Podcast that up at 1075thefan.com. I mentioned legendary Behringer's Tavern, Southside, South Meridian on a Tuesday. The owner, Rob, joins us before the end of the show, but let's welcome somebody back on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. He turned me down. He's no longer playing hoop, but once upon a time, NBA point guard, Pacers TV, Pacers Radio. Our good friend Eddie Gill is back, and we are excited about that on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Hello, Eddie. How are you?
Hey, what's going on, guys? I appreciate you having me. I'm good. How about yourself?
I wore a boot for a month, and I am back and better than ever. And let me tell you this. Nobody played – what's that?
Real quick, you asked me to go get this open run with you, and I believe that happened 2 days later after you asked me.
It did. It did. And I consulted with the Pacer doctor. He's the one that said, slap a boot on, wear that for a while, and they helped me out a little bit. And that's why they're so genius, because less than a month later, I'm good to go. So shout out to them. Yeah, I know. I thought about that too. I asked you at 2 days later. I come in rocking a boot.
Yeah, man. Keep that headset on.
You played at the highest level. So I completely understand where you are. I am such, Eddie, a lover, and I mean an absolute lover of basketball, that I'm probably going to have to be dead before I stop, to be honest with you. And I don't know if that's good or bad. So
listen, go from 3-point line to 3-point line, and you'll be good. Don't start fooling around.
Oh, man. Well, I'm about 6 beers in right now, and I'm going to go play here in a little bit. I think I'm really good 6 beers in. So, yeah.
Let me know how that works out for you.
I will. There's no doubt I will. Well, you watched them so far. I don't put a lot of stock in the preseason, although we do evaluate and look at things for face value, like last night against San Antonio. What do you think about this group they have so far? I think the one thing that stood out to me, and clearly it's going to be much different considering what they have lost, what they don't have this year, but the ball sticking was the first thing that stood out to me. This whole team was, to me, predicated on fast movement up and down the floor, ball movement. And, man, there's been a lot of ball sticking so far. I guess that's just par for the course with the personnel and where you are in the preseason so far. Is that fair to say?
There's probably some truth to that. I will say I thought in the first game against Minnesota, the ball was flying around. I thought they came out with great intensity on both ends of the floor. I thought they did a great job defensively to start that game. That starting group, they're picking up full court after makes. To me, it looks like they've got a really intentional look about them in terms of how they rebound the basketball, specifically on the offensive glass. Guys are crashing the glass hard. We've seen some positive results there. I thought last night that first 6 minutes of the third quarter was a really positive stretch for the Pacers as well. And it being preseason, I will say I don't think that they're even attempting right now to run much of anything, and that's probably by design. So when you're not really intentional about running some sort of action, when you don't have a fast break, oftentimes just bad habits may creep in, and you may see some of that where the ball is just dying in someone's hands and playing one-on-one basketball. I don't foresee that being something that's sustainable, nor do I think that they'll attempt to be doing that, once the season starts.
He's Eddie Gill from Pacers TV and Radio, the former point guard of the NBA's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. So what's your expectation on what you're going to see with this group? And I guess we'll put the template out there, Eddie, in comparison to what we witnessed last year. I'm not talking about going the distance in the NBA Finals, but just in general terms on how this team plays without Halliburton, without Turner, to start the season without McConnell. How do you expect this team to be able to play style-wise compared to what we know from a year ago?
Yeah, I think it's going to they'll strike a balance of having a similar style in which they fully embrace the defensive end of the floor. I thought, last season, getting to the middle of the pack throughout the league, staying competitive there. Meanwhile, keeping their elite offensive system in place. I think style-wise it'll be very similar, but there's no way that you can have the same type of game with no Halliburton in the lineup and no Turner in the lineup. So you can't dismiss that because those two were so critical to what they did on both ends of the floor, especially when you think about Miles anchoring the defense and Halliburton being an engine to that offense. And now you're going to deal with McConnell out to start the season as well in terms of that bench unit. So I still think the style is going to be the same. They're going to look to get the ball before quickly. They're going to move it. I think they're going to shoot open jumpers when they have them. They're going to look to attack the paint. I thought again, even throughout Nembhard's stretch last night, I thought he did a great job while he was in the game. He was always looking to get 2 feet in the paint, and that's when he was able to generate quality looks, whether it was for himself and his floaters or he was kicking out the 3-point shooters. So I think style-wise, I think they're going to be very similar, but you can't dismiss the fact that Halliburton's not in the lineup and neither is Turner.
It's Eddie Gill who joins us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. So you brought up Miles Turner right there, and there's certainly impacts on both sides of the ball here. Offensively, there's not anybody paying a damn bit of attention to these bigs. I do want to address that in a moment right now from distance. But which is the greater impact on the offensive end? Or, listen, he may not have been to a level of shot blocking that he once was, but you know this to be true. When you carry a reputation, that reputation goes with you game in and game out, and that's something that's not going to be there at all. What's going to have the greater impact? The rim protection on the defensive end or that reputation, or just until we find out later somebody can shoot it from distance as a big, the fact that you don't have to guard anybody in the perimeter, much like you had to do Miles Turner when he was here most recently?
Yeah, if you made me pick one, I'm going to say the defensive end. I think his absence and his ability to stretch the floor at that position is very close to the same impact offensively. But defensively, even if he didn't necessarily have the gaudy block shot numbers, which in some cases he definitely did, even last season, there were times where there were guys out on the perimeter and they see him down in the paint or him floating around the area. They just elect to go do something else.
Right.
So that, and those are things that don't show up in the stat sheet, or if he changes a shot, he doesn't necessarily block it. Those things don't show up in the stat sheet, or he forces, a shot clock violation just because, again, he's in the area, makes a guy hesitate. These are things that don't necessarily show up in the stat sheet. But so again, if I had to pick one of the two, it's definitely him being the anchor of that defense, and now the Pacers will look to do that collectively. Although they may have guys who are capable, I don't know that it's going to be on the level of what Turner was able to do for 10 years.
And I agree with you. That's my major concern, because whenever Turner was out of the game a year ago, it was like a layup line, and there is no fear whatsoever. And I think that also comes with reputation. As you mentioned, if he is just floating around on the interior, guys may dribble in and then dribble out the other way because they know he's around, and without that particular threat, that's problematic for this team.
Yeah, I mean, the one of the areas that I was always really impressed with, is his ability to, whether it was to contest or block or change a shot, he was most of the time doing it without fouling guys. Anytime Miles got in trouble with fouls, it was typically out on the perimeter, or he's getting to someone's body, and it was, some foul like that. But when it came to changing a shot, blocking a shot, he was really good at his timing and being able to avoid fouls there. But having said that, you have this collection of guys now. You turn the page and give those guys an opportunity. And I'm excited for guys like Isaiah Jackson, James Wiseman coming off of injury, just trying to find their footing after being out for a year. You just got to demonstrate some patience and hope that you can kind of hold the fort down collectively until someone really ascends to that spot.
And Huff as well. By the way, when James Wiseman steps into a jump shot, I kind of hide my eyes. Hopefully that's not the case during the season, but I do. I did hide my eyes last night a couple of times.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, it's different guys at that position now. Turner is gone, and we all just come to accept that and understand that other guys are going to have to bring some value in other places.
Is Huff capable of that? And not just completely being what once was, but at least adding to and giving something in a category in which certainly has been important for this Pacer team and their success over the past year plus?
In short, I don't know.
Me either.
In my longer-winded answer, I haven't seen enough of him to give him, to give a fair assessment of what type of role he could potentially fill. So it'll, time will tell. We'll see if he gets more opportunity starting Friday to demonstrate where he could really get some things done. Again, going back to Isaiah Jackson, prior to I thought going into last season was as optimistic as I've ever been about Isaiah Jackson and what he could potentially be for the Pacers, because I thought the season prior to he was really turning the corner on knowing how to use his elite athleticism, because he, along with Obi Toppin, prior to injury, more often than not, he was the best athlete on the floor.
Yeah, it's Eddie Gill from Pacers TV and radio, the former point guards on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Are you as excited about the opportunity that's here and what we can see from Benedict Mathurin? I know some are a little apprehensive about buying into it, but this, with the injury to Halliburton, with this team's makeup right now, man, there is such a significant opportunity for us to see the total Mathurin. And believe me, it was preseason last night. It ultimately doesn't matter, but that was stinking awesome. I don't care where you're playing with the offense that he put up last night. Are you excited about seeing what he can do for this team? And I know a lot of people kind of hope to see what they witnessed a little bit of last night.
Yeah, I'm ecstatic. I mean, amazing opportunity for him now with, Halliburton out of lineup. He's going to get more, his expectations and responsibility will be heightened. He's going to be looked to as a guy to be able to score and also to show some maturation in his game as to know when to move the ball, but also know, he has to keep the pedal down and stay aggressive, especially in transition. I think he does a great job there. Since he stepped into the league, he's been really elite at getting to the free throw line. We've seen that here in this preseason. We've seen it throughout the last couple seasons. But, I'm really excited to see him embrace this opportunity. He's a guy who every time he steps on the floor, in his mind, he's the best out there, which is the way you have to think. You have to believe that in yourself, and he's going to get significant opportunity to demonstrate it.
Well, there's no doubt about that, too. And what do you think about this team competitive-wise? I expect it. Do you, this season, at a much higher level than what has been described nationally?
Yeah, I totally expect this team to compete and be a playoff team. Barring any major health concerns, they go in and stay reasonably healthy throughout the season. I expect this team to be very competitive and contend in the playoffs. And, once you get there, who knows where you go. Last year was a great illustration of that. A lot of magic and timeless moments had to happen for them to get to where they were last season. But man, why not see this team do it again? I certainly think they're a competitive team.
Is it still hard to believe what we witnessed a year ago in the postseason? Seriously, I find myself just kind of wondering, did that really happen? Really, both the good and the bad, Eddie.
I totally agree. I mean, I was just mentioning this to someone yesterday. You can't write a script that would mirror what we saw really actually happen and come to fruition, whether it's the game-winning shots or the comebacks. And again, you end in the catastrophic injury and Halliburton, and you just can't write it. It was an unbelievable time, and I'm just happy and grateful that I had an opportunity to be a part of it.
My favorite team of all time. Now, there have been championship teams around here. There's been another Pacer team in 2000 and went to the finals. That was my favorite team of all time. It was so fun to watch, and they infused so much enthusiasm to a fan base around here that was so necessary at the time. And by the way, too, I watched Tyrese Halliburton, and I know that he's getting back and getting through all this, and he's going to be on the bench and coaching up, and being certainly a big part of this. My man is tortured, Eddie. You as a former player, can you tell that he is absolutely, even in he's having fun and trying to get back and working, my man's tortured on the sideline right there.
Yeah, it's got to eat you up when you're not able to go out there and help your guys, no matter who you are, and especially a guy of his status and what he's meant to the team over the last couple seasons, specifically last year. But I love his spirit. I love the fact that he's not over there pouting. He's not sulking. He's cheering his guys on. He's as involved as he possibly can be, and considering his status right now. But his spirit and being around the team will certainly be valuable, even though he's not able to put a uniform on right now.
Hey, Eddie, in closing here, take Matherin out of the equation because we discussed him. Who would you expect to make the most inroads or have the most positive impact that maybe somebody out there, an average Pacer fan's not expecting coming up this season? Who stands out first in that line?
Yeah, I'll preface my comment with saying I'm a little biased and partial to the point guard position, but I'm gonna say Andrew Nembhard. He's going to get an opportunity to play. Hopefully, again, barring any health concerns, a full season at his natural position at the point. And I think he's going to be really good. I think he's going to be really good. They'll make probably some adjustments. And, on a nightly basis, he was taking on the toughest defensive assignment in the last couple seasons, certainly last season where he was incredibly valuable. They'll probably mix that up a little bit. Benedict Matherin is probably going to see a little bit of that action, just understanding that there's going to be a heavier load and responsibility for Nembhard offensively. Even if that's just to organize and facilitate offense, that doesn't necessarily mean he's got to go get 30 a night scoring-wise. He's just going to have to be able to organize and put guys in their right place and do some facilitating. But I think he's going to have a big year.
Now, one more thing before I let you go. He's a friend of mine. I don't know how much you've seen him other than on Saturday night, but Brooks Barnheiser's a friend of mine. His dad's a really good friend of mine, the coach at Lafayette, Jeff. And I know that Sam Presti, they brought him in round number 2, and they have a thought in mind for him with OKC that's absolutely still loaded after winning that title. What was your thought on Brooks Barnheiser from what you witnessed and what you've seen? I don't know how much you've seen other than that game on Saturday, but what are your thoughts?
Yeah, that was all I've seen. And again, much like the Huff question, I haven't seen enough to really give a fair assessment, right? It's a preseason game and odd lineups out there. No one's running anything. So sometimes it's hard to make a fair assessment on guys, especially when you haven't seen them much. So I'll reserve my judgment until I see a little bit more.
That's fair. Yeah, he's been a pickup game guy with me too. I'm telling you. We've got like 3 NBA guys formerly in pickup games with us right here.
So, man, you guys got to keep up the good work.
Yeah, I know. It's not like playing at the Monon in Carmel, is it? The Monon Center or whatever. Hey, man, it's great to have you back. Seriously, I have missed basketball conversation with you, and I find myself. I don't know if you're the same. I find myself every time there is a Pacer playoff highlight, whether it's against the Bucks or the Cavaliers or the Knicks or even that game 1, certainly against OKC. I've got to watch the entirety of the highlight. That's just how awesome that season was, that postseason was for me.
Yeah, listen, it's a time that goes down in history, and no one will forget it anytime soon.
No doubt. Good to have you back, Eddie, man. We'll do it again soon. And you guys, when are you on the air next here? When?
Friday
Yeah.
in San Antonio to wrap up the preseason.
And by the way, Wembanyama, what in the world? Rick, I agree with Rick. I'm glad you don't have to see that dude only twice a year because that's absurd how ridiculous he is.
No, he's from somewhere else that is not here. and I don't think it's France either.
I don't know if it's France either. I would agree. There's no way that France comes up with stuff like that. I agree. Yeah.
No.
Thanks, Eddie, man. I appreciate it. We'll do it again soon. It's good to have you back.
Yes, sir. Always a pleasure.
Eddie Gill, Andy Moore on the Motive Group Hotline. I would agree. I don't think it's France either. I think it was Jeremiah Johnson that came up with he's the only guy that can walk to the tunnel and give high fives to both sides of the tunnel when he walks in. Oh, my God. It is something. I do want to bring this up, and I saw this from James Boyd of the Morning Show and Kyle Neddenripp of the Star. Former Warren Central star David Bell announces his retirement from the NFL. He was so good in football, so good in basketball. Warren Central, Purdue, and then with the Cleveland Browns, David Bell has called it a professional football career via social media a little bit earlier today. All right, quick break. We'll come back. I know Rob, the owner here, is going to rejoin us of Behringer's on the South Side coming up in a second. Harrah's Hoosier Park Race of the Day, 50 in betting, 50 in dining from Harrah's Hoosier Park Racing and Casino in Anderson, the Harrah's Hoosier Park Race of the Day. And we've got locations coming up on Thursday and on Friday. And my bad influence is going to bring Joel A. Erickson back to another live show, evidently, coming up on Friday. All that and more coming up for you before the end of the show. Don't go anywhere. Stream the app, HD Radio, AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live on South Meridian, The Last Chance, the legendary Capone, Dellinger, JMV. Behringer's Tavern, Southside, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
Genetic freak, and I'm not normal.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
You got to get my man Rob out here. Here he comes, the owner of Behringer's on location. By the way, I saw where Kevin Bowen from the morning show sent this out on X. Go ahead. Jeff Driscoll, Kyle Trask, Tanner Mordecai, and Jaron Hall were those backup quarterbacks that evidently worked out earlier today. As I said yesterday, who gives a crap? Because if Daniel Jones goes down, you're screwed. You're going to be screwed even if Richardson was healthy. You're going to be screwed with Riley Leonard, and sure as hell going to be screwed with Jeff Driscoll, Kyle Trask, Tanner Mordecai, or Jaron Hall. It's almost like the Manning era. Well done. Nice honk, by the way. It's almost like the Manning era. I'm not trying to compare the two quarterbacks or the two teams at all, but it's where it is. I mean, Daniel Jones is the guy, and if he's not the guy, then you're host. That doesn't mean you don't go search for a backup quarterback. We are on South Meridian. This is Behringer's Tavern. It looks like Rob, the owner, is back with us right here. We got a band coming in tonight, do we?
We do musician feature on Tuesday night.
I like music. But tell us a little bit about the musician feature.
Yeah, so our guy Paul brings in 2 artists every Tuesday night. They each play 2 20-minute sets, so 4 sets. And sometimes
nice.
You get to see somebody that you might not see on a Friday night if you're busy or something, or, you know,
awesome.
It's a good time.
Whose idea was that? Kind of yours?
Yeah, and Paul's. A friend of mine, Paul Rippey, he does a good job for us.
Man, what a great place this is right here.
A lot going on all the time. You know, you mentioned tonight we do trivia on Monday, obviously the musician feature. Wednesday we do bingo.
Yeah.
Give away $200 in cash.
I've always wanted to ask you this because Garfield Park's not too far away. We're the near south side. How much of Behringer's Tavern is like a location destination? How many people come out from other areas of town?
Quite a bit.
I know a lot of people are just coming down South Meridian stop here on the way home anyway.
Right, and we definitely pull from Greenwood, but we pull from Fountain Square too.
Yeah, that's cool.
You know, it is a neighborhood.
I'm a big fan of Garfield Park. The area, you go over toward Garfield Park, and the area is always growing.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, neighborhood tavern, but
Old South Side's looking better and better every single day. Seriously.
Yeah. So, and
urban sprawl helps you out too, because it just seems like that everything continues. You just go. I don't know what is that building up there at Morris and Meridian?
It's an apartment building.
My goodness.
Yeah, that should help.
Now, I was going to say that's going to help you a great deal as well.
Yeah, it just
keeps moving.
You know what'll help the most?
What is that?
The lack of road construction.
Yeah, no doubt.
When they finish the roads, then
Well, I remember Pleasant Run Parkway used to be all the way through to Bluff, but I don't think you can go through Bluff anymore, can you?
Oh,
can you?
I don't know.
So, listen, I'm down through here every single day, so I know exactly what you're talking about right here. But, legendary to say the least. So you've got bands coming up later on tonight. What time do they start?
7 to 9. 7 to 9.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, Wednesday bingo, Thursday karaoke, Friday singo.
I love bingo, by the way. How big does the pot get in bingo here?
We don't do a pot. It's just it's 20. You win $25 a game.
Nice, $25 a game. Well, I'll take it.
Yeah,
I'll dig
play
bingo.
8 games. So
now, do you have the old school, the cage with the balls in the cage?
See it back there, but yeah.
I love
the ping pong balls.
I love the balls in the cage right there for bingo.
I was calling one night and I forgot to shut the door on the cage, so I'm sitting there turning it, talking to people. The balls are flying
everywhere. Yeah. So, and am I allowed to mention the outdoor space too? Because that is on the inbound too.
Yeah. That's going to be. We're going to hit it in the spring. We're going to kind of do some things to wrap it up, but we have a great new outdoor area, about 1,600 square feet.
Nice, buddy.
Going to have a deck area and just some nice tables on pavers with some umbrellas and stuff, and then a little bocce court, and then a couple revel round courts.
Now explain that, the bocce ball court.
Lawn bowling.
Yeah.
You know? I'm Italian. I grew up.
Well, I mean, they have
Dawson.
one. Well, speaking of which, they have one over there by what?
Yeah, that's like a real one with sand and everything.
Where is that over there? It's
on Shelby Street.
Yeah, exactly. I know what you're talking about. So
yeah, it was next to the old Bees.
Yes.
But this would just be it's lawn bowling, truly lawn bowling. The way I did it as a kid in the backyard with my uncles and
big
aunts.
fan of bocce ball, are you?
Yeah, it's an Italian thing.
I understand. Nothing wrong with that. Hey, remind people, too, of exactly your hours and what you got going on later on this weekend as well.
Sure, 11 a.m. to 12 midnight on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We go 11 to 2 a.m. Sunday, we open for breakfast along with breakfast on Saturday.
I saw that right there. The weekend breakfast. Join us Saturday and Sunday starting at 10 a.m. until 12:30 for breakfast. Is it everything on the table breakfast-wise for you?
It's a simple breakfast, but it's good, and it's a great
hearty.
way to...
They say hearty breakfast.
It's
a hearty breakfast.
It's a great way to prep for a game, whether you're gonna watch the Hoosiers or watch the Colts. Hey, by the way, we're a Purdue. You see the Purdue flags everywhere around the bar. Who'd have thought that Purdue would be the basketball school and IU would be the football school?
It is weird how things go. I tell everybody now, it is such a different era of collegiate athletics.
Yeah.
You got to go with what you know right now.
Yep.
I think IU is going to be better with Darren DeVries, but obviously Matt Painter is one of the best.
Got it dialed in. We're looking for that national championship. That's
one of the best coaches in college basketball. And I will tell you this, even with that disappointing loss at Minnesota last week, I think Barry Odom's going to go down a path in which Boilermaker fans are going to like. I think the problem with Barry Odom is he's going to constantly be compared with the start of the Kurt Signetti era.
They're better than we thought they would be
exactly,
already.
But you look across the nation and there's no comparison to what Kurt Signetti has done with what was not his historic power in college football. And IU, it's absolutely incredible. You can't get past that.
Yeah. It's good stuff.
No, number one, Purdue basketball. So are you guys a Purdue? Would you describe yourselves as a Purdue bar? How many IU folks do you get in here on IU game days, for example? There's like one right there. I got waving right at me.
Not near when Purdue's playing basketball. Coach Katie comes in here once in a while.
Does he really?
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome right there.
So, yeah, we're definitely
I know Matt Painter very well. So, Matt Painter, this is a place where Matt Painter can hang easily.
Yeah,
there's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
When he's not coaching. So, not coaching. All right, give me some hours and stuff later on this week and this weekend, too. Would you, Rob?
Oh, yeah. Once again, 11 a.m. to midnight, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We go 11 a.m. to 2, and Sunday, breakfast. So 10. We open at 10 till midnight. So good place for pregame.
Oh,
Pacers
it's a great place for everything.
Pregame for Pacers, too.
And you got some live music coming up here in just a bit. What time's the live music start again?
7 to 9.
7 until 9, the live music right here. So this is just not a South Side place. This is for everybody.
For sure.
Yeah, it is.
Yep.
Now, the Capone and the Dillinger stories are true.
Yeah.
Because people think I'm just adding my name to that list for the hell of it. But no, it's true.
Capone came here once a few times, but Dillinger, this was like a regular stopping point.
Because I think Dillinger was originally from Mooresville, was he not? Or something like that? Is that?
Decatur or something.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
But he used to hang out at the Volrath, which doesn't exist anymore, which is just a couple miles north of here, maybe like a mile north of here. So
Dillinger
it makes sense. You know, when you think about it, by the way, when this place opened, there wasn't even electricity.
I think about that. I walk in there to use the bathroom, and it's like 140 years old. I didn't know they had plumbing 140 years ago. I mean, what kind of pipes do you have? How much of what is beneath this place is original? Like pipes-wise and stuff?
Yeah, so the dining room we're in right now is 1949.
1949 dining room. Okay.
Yeah, that's when they remodeled and expanded. But that original rectangle, that building's all with the basement underneath that apparently someone got killed in, and there's all kinds of.
Jeez.
And there's ghosts here too.
Are there ghosts here too?
Oh yeah.
Because I know that Slippery Noodle has ghosts.
Yeah.
We know that it's haunted. Is this place haunted as well?
There have
been.
All
right, you may have explained this before, but for those that may be first-time listeners, explain your ghost experience, the haunted experience here.
Oh, we've had chairs moved. We've had people see people that aren't there. Down in the basement, we had a contractor get touched on the shoulder.
Really?
And he never came back because there was no
You
one
scared
else.
the contractor
There
away?
was no one else down there. Yeah, I had a picture fly off the wall, and the wire and the hook was intact. Just all kinds of crazy stuff.
I love a good haunted story right there. Haunted Indiana.
Yeah, we're thinking about doing an overnight one time, maybe. see if everybody wants to hunker down.
Is there a particular time when all this haunted stuff happens? Is it late at night?
No, I mean, my experience, it was 7 in the evening. I mean, so.
This is Rob Behringers. Ask for Rob when he's here. The great food. Got a little live music beginning at 7 later on tonight. Bingo, trivia, just awesome stuff right here. And then coming in the spring, some more outdoor hang space right here.
For sure. Yep.
Yeah, I love it. And thanks for inviting us back as much as you do. I love this place. I love hanging out here. I love being on, and I love people honking when they come by. I love being on South Meridian right here and hanging out over the sidewalk. It's great.
Yeah, appreciate
Really
you,
is.
John.
Rob,
Thanks for
thank you.
coming.
Rob from Behringers, ask for him. We'll take a break and come back because we got to get to 50 and betting, 50 and dining from Harrah's Leisure Park Racing and Casino in Anderson. James, are you ready? Does everybody have their horse? Here it is, your Harrah's Leisure Park Race of the Day.
The Ride with JMV.
Get him a body bag! Yeah! All right.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Oh, your Harris Hoosier Park race of the day. Michael Duffy, everybody, was the winner. Ponda Jet paid $3 on a $2 bet. $2 exacta was $3.40. 50-cent trifecta $1.50. You know, we do this Tuesday through Friday. Shout out to Tony Renz. It's your Harris Hoosier Park race of the day. We'll do it again coming up tomorrow in the 5 o'clock hour. I will send out a X message. Get your horse and play off of that. 50 in betting, 50 in dining from Harris Hoosier Park Race. It's up, buddy. Harris Hoosier Park Race of the day. Oh, man. Thank you all for joining. I love it down here, too. You know what's going to suck? James, you know what's going to suck? Being back in studio. Nothing against you, but being back in studio tomorrow. I've got to go back in studio tomorrow. And then on the road at Joe's Grill on Thursday, Larceny Bourbon Locks and Luna Azul Tequila Shots. And then Bud Light Blue Friday at Ale Emporium in Castleton on Friday. So in between all of this fun, I've got to come back in studio on a Wednesday. That sucks. You think anybody out there wants to have this show live tomorrow?
I'm sure you could find somebody. There's always someone seemingly
I would rather
willing
be
to
live.
do it.
This is fun as hell. I love Behringer's, though. I love it near Southside. And you know what? It's also easy for me to get home from here, too, which is really awesome. James, you mentioned you're not too far away. Cam, the on-site engineer, not too far away. I know Chris here, not too far away. Now, Alicia may be a little bit far away over there. Chris and Alicia are the promotions team here with us today, and they are absolutely awesome. So I have Chris all the time. I think Alicia for the second time. First time was at Binkley's in Broad Ripple. But no, seriously, coming up on Friday, Bud Light Blue Friday, I will say this, that the bad influence in me will invite Joel A. Erickson of the Star back. So Chris Hagan will join us on Friday at Ale Emporium in Castleton, and Joel A. Erickson of the Star will join us again. See, I told you, you do it one time and you're hooked. One time and you're hooked, like Joel A. Erickson coming up on Friday, which should be absolutely fantastic. So Thursday and Friday on the road, Westfield, Joe's Grill, Larceny Bourbon Locks, Luna Azul Tequila Shots coming up on Thursday. And then Friday, Ale Emporium in Castleton. Bud Light Blue Friday, that's Titans and Colts tickets we shall be giving away. The text line to 317-239-1070. JMV, I've said since day one that when you drafted Matherin, he is going to be like Jimmy Butler. Time to show it this year. I'm incredibly excited. That's the one thing, like, it's bittersweet. There's no Halliburton, you know, you got the bitter taste in your mouth regarding 33, now 3, Miles Turner and Milwaukee. But I'm still excited about this group, and I still have a higher level of expectations about this team. And one of the things I'm really excited about is Benedict Mather. I think we saw a little bit of that opportunity last night in a preseason game. 317-239-1070, the text stream. JMV is Zaire Franklin, the best cover linebacker the Colts have. Feel like splitting him out wide on a running back like they did on Sunday could eventually be a liability. Their linebackers haven't been great. If you missed Rick Venturi joined us in the 4 o'clock hour. Make sure you go ahead and pile onto that podcast at 1075thefan.com. It was outstanding. Our conversation, and we did talk specifically about that with Rick, and that podcast at 1075thefan.com. Eddie Gill from the Pacers Radio and Television Networks, the former point guard, he was back with us too, talking about the Pacers from last night and expectations for this group moving forward. Podcast 1075thefan.com. I should remind you of this. You've got an NLCS matchup later on tonight. The Dodgers and the Brewers. If you watched Milwaukee last night, if Terang leans in to that inside pitch, it may be different. Dodgers 1-zip best of 7 NLCS. Same two teams, Dodgers and Brewers tonight, 8:08. American Family Field in Milwaukee coming up later on tonight. That is the NLCS. And how about the Seattle Mariners? 2-zip, best of 7 ALCS. That is against the Toronto Blue Jays, and they're heading out to Seattle with game number 3 and a decisive advantage now for the Mariners in that matchup coming up tomorrow night. So, yeah, we got a lot going for. I mentioned college basketball, and we mentioned the preseason rankings. Purdue is number 1. Everybody is excited about IU and the football season so far, and why shouldn't you be? I should remind you, too, coming up, I don't know the exact date on this. I'd have to look it up. Maybe James can look it up before we close out here. But at some point on a Thursday, early in November, I know Brent Holverson and I will be doing our Larceny Bourbon Locks and Luna Azul Tequila Shots. We'll be doing that live from the Upstairs Pub in Bloomington. That is in early November, which should be one hell of a time. You know, it's funny. A guy that was a part of the Super Bowl winning Eagles a year ago and then signed, I think he was signed as a free agent, either traded for or signed as a free agent. But C.J. Gardner-Johnson started the season in Houston, didn't work out, then got cut, got signed by the Ravens, and now he's been signed to their practice squad. He was released by the Ravens, and a lot of people have asked me if I think that would be maybe a target for the Colts. I do not believe that to be at all a target of the Colts. The Colts will have a target. We mentioned some of those names in backup quarterback working out earlier today, but there will be a target at some point. I would say this. I think that the Colts end up going after, prior to the trade deadline, somebody that can help them in the edge rushing category, because if you listen to Rick Venturi a little bit earlier, that's where it starts right there. And let's face it, you know, Latu and Kwity Paye, they've had moments, but they haven't consistently been enough of a threat, and that's what this defense needs. Now, in the back end, you need to get healthy. Charvarius Ward, Kenny Moore, Jalen Jones. In the back end, you have to get healthy. But at some point, you've got to put consistent. I mean consistent. He said first wave pressure on the quarterback. They had pressure on the quarterback on Sunday against Arizona, but it wasn't first wave. It was Jacoby Brissett maybe hanging on to the ball type of pressure. When Schuler spreadability, make sure you have that for your snacking needs, whether it's baseball later on tonight, tailgate this weekend, football, or just a gathering for you. When Schuler spreadability for the fall of 2025, the football season of 2025, original sharp cheddar bacon and cheddar jalapeno pepper. When Schuler spreadability, you can find it at your favorite Meijer location. You can find it Gordon Food Service. Hey, what's up? Good to hear from you. Wherever you find your groceries. When Schuler spreadability. Cam, great job out of you. Cam's mom Anna was here as well. Chris, Alicia, and promotions. You guys, thank you very much. Rob, the owner of Behringer's Tavern on the South Side. What a great time. James, great job out of you. Back in studio coming up tomorrow. You guys, thank you all for the time on this Tuesday. Behringer's Tavern near South Side, South Meridian, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Have a great night.